Good evening. In the news tonight, an accused drug trafficker is sentenced for helping to distribute drugs in the local area. An American-born al-Qaeda leader has been killed in Yemen. And in sports, a large homecoming crowd is expected to be on to watch the Alices battle the Washington Hatchets. News Center 22 starts now.
Local news, weather, and sports, produced through the combined efforts of the students, staff, and faculty of Vincennes University's electronic media program. This is News Center 22.
A major trafficker responsible for a large drug ring in the local area has been sentenced. Good evening for News Center 22. I'm Mitch Columbi. United States Attorney for the Southern Indiana District, Joseph Hogsett, held a press conference at Vincennes City Hall today to announce the sentencing. Hogsett says 33-year-old Christopher Eason of Coldwater, Mississippi, will serve 17 years in federal prison following his conviction to distribute methamphetamine, cocaine, and marijuana in Knox and Daviess counties. Hogsett says this isn't the first case his office has prosecuted concerning the flow of illegal drugs into southwestern Indiana from the town of Coldwater.
The amount of drugs that we have seen coming into the area from Coldwater, Mississippi has decreased. But I do think that your question is right on the money, and that is that with today's sentencing of Mr. Eason to serve 17 years, I think that the folks in Coldwater, Mississippi understand that coming to Indiana is not in their interest at all.
Hogsett says Eason directed the activities of drug trafficking organization that operated in the Washington and Vincennes area from April 2009 to July of 2010. The organization reportedly distributed approximately 4 pounds of meth along with multiple kilograms of cocaine and marijuana. Funeral arrangements have been announced for Debbie Miller. Debbie Miller passed away just before 1 o'clock Thursday morning. Debbie's husband, Gene Miller, was a longtime basketball coach at Lincoln High School before the family left the area for a time. The Millers returned to the local area when Gene took over as the varsity basketball coach and athletic director at Washington High School. The funeral for Debbie will be Monday at 10 a.m. at Gill Funeral Home in Washington. Visitation will be from 4 to 7 p.m. on Sunday at the funeral home. Burial will take place in Lafayette, Indiana at the Rest Haven Memorial Cemetery at 3 p.m. on Monday. Memorial contributions may be made to the Deborah Miller Scholarship Fund. A man police suspect in the brutal killings of 5 people in Indiana is going to have to come up with a lot of money if he wants to get out of jail. A Ripley County judge Thursday ordered David Eisen held on a $5 million bond. But Eisen has not actually been charged in the connections with the murders. He went before the court on a separate attempted robbery charge. Brian Hamrick reports.
A deputy with a machine gun and nearly a half-dozen troopers stood guard as a shackled David Eisen headed to court.
David, do you have anything to say to the Napier family?
Eisen's only reaction was a pained look, which he wore most of the hearing, and with good reason if he had any idea what he was about to face here on armed robbery charges, but there was much more.
Well, I think what I said was probably that he was very extremely dangerous.
Ripley County prosecutors say Eisen is being linked to the 5 Franklin County murders, that a search of his home here in Andersonville turned up a cell phone that belonged to one victim, blood-splattered clothes, footprints at the scene that matched shoes at his house that were drying, and ammunition matching that used in the murder. His attorney, John Watson, was just appointed, and only for the robbery charges.
You know, there's a lot of speculation here, but I didn't hear anything in there. I mean, I found a pair of shoes. I found this. Well, okay, great. That doesn't mean that they were necessarily involved in a murder.
The armed robbery charge comes from a crime here in Osgood. Eisen allegedly held up this pharmacy, initially disguised as an elderly person. In court, these photos of the disguise he was allegedly wearing when he was caught, along with guns in the trunk, an assault rifle, and a .308 handgun. Prosecutors say he was on his way to rob another pharmacy.
David, how'd you get the blood splatter on your clothes?
While Eisen wasn't talking, his bond said more about the strength of the evidence than anything. An extremely high $5 million.
Police say the investigation is ongoing, but Franklin County Sheriff Kenneth Murphy says he feels very confident he has one person involved in the killings in custody. Lincoln High School homecoming festivities are officially underway today. The annual homecoming parade kicked off at 3:45 this afternoon as fans lined the streets of downtown Vincennes to see the floats carrying current students, alumni, and supporters. Later this evening, the Alices will battle the Washington Hatchets in the homecoming football game at Inman Field starting at 7:30. Cody Cully will join us later in the newscast to preview the matchup. After the game, many alumni will return to the Riverfront Pavilion as the band Bad Medicine will take the stage. There's a new scholarship program for single parents going to school. The scholarship provides $10,000 for the 2012 academic school year to a single parent to help pay for living expenses not covered by their current financial aid. Program creator Karen Balfour says the student can be going for any kind of degree. Balfour says she got the idea from the scholarship after seeing classmates struggling to pay expenses while she was going to school. This is the first year for the program with the scholarship going to one student. More information on the scholarship can be found at onlinecolleges.org/scholarship. Still to come on News Center 22. An Al-Qaeda leader is killed in Yemen. We'll explain how officials say this American-born man has been linked to terror attacks. And some debit card users might want to think twice before swiping their cards. We'll explain how one bank is imposing new fees. That's when we come back. Stay with us.
Americans were down and out. They were losing their jobs and their houses, and they wanted a hero that was beat up like they were.
What do they call him? Seabiscuit.
This horse had to come from the bottom of the heap.
Head on head. It's horse against horse.
For a brief moment, a little brown racehorse wasn't just a little brown racehorse.
Seabiscuit on American Experience.
Seabiscuit is the winner.
To think a fruit could get this big is just crazy. I mean, this is definitely extreme gardening.
I've had one of them last year was described as large as a Volkswagen Beetle.
Something that grows 50 pounds per day, I think would have to be labeled a freak.
Since we don't have children, these are our children.
Everybody wants to touch it. It's like something that's from outer space.
He is heavy.
I'm hoping the pumpkin weighs 1,100 pounds.
Yeah!
This can't be real.
It was a damaging blow for Al-Qaeda today. American-born Muslim cleric Anwar al-Awlaki has been killed in Yemen. He's believed to have been involved in a botched plane bombing in 2009 and the Fort Hood, Texas shooting the same year. Nick Robertson has a look back at the influence the suspected terrorist had.
The Islam of Umar was an opening. His hijrah was victory.
Anwar al-Awlaki.
Rain was mercy.
The radical Yemen-based preacher seen here online. His followers in Britain say he's like Osama bin Laden.
He reminds me of, for example, Sheikh Osama bin Laden and also Ayman al-Zawahiri in terms of his soft-spoken and at the same time the knowledge that they have, the foundations that they have.
And he said, hand me over your scrolls.
This is the same Anwar al-Awlaki who exchanged emails with Major Nidal Hassan, accused of killing 13 people at Fort Hood. After the killings, al-Awlaki praised Hassan on his website, calling him a hero. Why al-Awlaki is so influential is a combination of birth and upbringing. He was born in the United States. His father was a minister in the Yemeni government. He is smart and privileged. He preached in Imam Jahari Malik's mosque in Virginia. He doesn't agree with al-Awlaki's extreme views and denounces the killings at Fort Hood. But it was here at Malik's mosque al-Awlaki met Major Hassan, as well as two of the 9/11 bombers. The 9/11 Commission reports that even before this, he was on the FBI's radar. According to the Commission, by the time we sought to interview him in 2003, he had left the United States. Nick Robertson, CNN, London.
Victims of Bernie Madoff will have to wait a little longer for their payback. Those with valid claims were slated to get their first checks today, but a ruling made earlier this week put the payments on hold. Tuesday, a federal judge dismissed most of the counts in a $1 billion suit against the owners of the New York Mets baseball team. The lawsuit stemmed from the club's involvement in the Ponzi scheme. Now, that money will be much harder for the trustee in the case to recover, therefore causing the delay in payments. A total of $272 million was supposed to go out to victims today. Week 1 of Conrad Murray's involuntary manslaughter trial wraps up today in Los Angeles, and so far the testimony has been compelling. Michael Jackson's personal physician is accused of giving the star a lethal dose of the anesthetic propofol. Andrew Spencer has the latest.
New insight into the moments of panic inside Michael Jackson's home. Testifying Thursday, Alberto Alvarez. The pop star's director of logistics is the man who called 911.
Okay. He's unconscious. He's not breathing?
Yes, he's not breathing, sir.
Before making that call, Alvarez testified Murray made a request. Help him pick up vials of a milky white substance.
He reached over and grabbed a handful of vials, and then he reached out to me and said, "Here, put these in a bag."
Prosecutors say Murray was cleaning up evidence. Under cross-examination, Alvarez said he didn't tell police about the vials immediately after the death.
Dr. Conrad Murray asked if anyone knew CPR.
Prosecutors also argued Murray didn't know how to conduct CPR.
He was using one hand, sir. He was giving chest compressions in this manner.
Jurors and Jackson's family inside court sat through the testimony. One emotional moment, Alvarez describing when Jackson's children, Paris and Prince, realized something was wrong.
Paris screamed out, "Daddy." Dr. Conrad Murray said, "Don't let them see their dad like this. Don't let them see their dad like this." And I proceeded to turn around to the children and kind of ushered them out and said, "Kids, don't worry. We'll take care of it. Everything is going to be okay."
I'm Andrew Spencer reporting.
The judge in the trial ordered attorneys not to publicly reveal their upcoming witnesses in advance going forward. He also warned them against talking to the media. If you love using your ATM card at the store checkout, Bank of America has a new plan you might not like. Starting next year, the bank is going to charge customers $5 a month for the privilege. It doesn't matter if you use the card one time or a dozen, the fee will be the same. This will apply whether you hit debit or credit at the register. There won't be a fee if you don't use the card at all. This latest fee coincides with new federal rules capping how much banks can charge retailers when you swipe your debit card. A comedy about cancer and a thriller starring Daniel Craig are coming to theaters this weekend. Paul Chambers has a preview and now showing.
50-50 is a comedic take on coming to terms with illness. Joseph Gordon-Levitt stars as a young man diagnosed with cancer and given a 50-50 chance of survival. His journey through the disease changes his life and the life of his best friend, played by Seth Rogen.
People beat cancer all the time. Every celebrity beats cancer. Tom Green, guy from Dexter, Lance Armstrong, he keeps getting it.
Based on the real-life experience of the screenwriter, 50-50 is rated R. Daniel Craig stars as a father who moves his family to a home with a mysterious past in the thriller Dream House. They soon discover their idyllic dwelling was the site of the brutal murder of a mother and her two little girls, and the past is coming back to haunt them.
Everybody who lives in this house gets killed.
Also starring Rachel Weisz and Naomi Watts, Dream House is rated PG-13. Allie Darling fears she just might be alone forever in What's Your Number? After finding inspiration in a magazine article, Allie, played by Anna Faris, decides to track down all her ex-boyfriends until she finds one she falls in love with.
Is it possible that all my exes got better with time? You help me track down my exes, I'll help you escape yours.
What's Your Number is rated R. For Now Showing, I'm Paul Chambers.
It has been a much cooler day today. Really perfect weather for Vincennes Lincoln's homecoming. Danny Taborn joins us now to let us know just how cool it is going to get in the stands tonight. Danny?
Well, Mitch, for anyone heading out to the football game or homecoming festivities afterwards, bundle up. I'll let you know just how cold it's going to get when we come back.